Welcome back, everybody. In this episode, we've done something a little bit crazy. We've driven up just north of Bulahdelah to the beautiful Pacific Palms and picked up something that's going to be a bit of a life changer. We're on our way home now, so when we get back, we'll show you what it's all about. What do you think, everybody?
Great.
So this is our 2020 Jayco Journey Outback 17.58-1, meaning this is a triple bunk version as opposed to the double bunk and Ensuite version, which is designated by the -3. Being a 2020 model, this is the second year in that they're running the grey cladded colour scheme and all the black trims, which I absolutely love. I think it just gives a really nice modern look to the van. I also feel that a lot of the black trims and gaskets and bits and pieces actually age a lot better than all the old white trims as well, in that they don't yellow. They do fade from time to time, so you still need to protect and maintain your caravan, but from a longevity point of view, it doesn't show the dirt and aging quite so much. This being a 2020 model, its manufacture was in December 2020, so we just missed the 2021 update, which has the gas bottles recessed into the front boot and also a brand new roof design, which I really would have loved. However, it does come with the updated chassis that came fresh in 2020, and more importantly the JTEC 2.0 updated suspension, which is much better than the original JTEC suspension from an alignment and geometry point of view. So I'll run through some of the outside bits and pieces, then we'll head inside and I'll show you what it's really about. So this being a 17-foot pop-top caravan, it's the largest in the Jayco series. Once you go to the sizes above this, they become full-size vans. I'll also mention at this point in the video that I'll break this up into chapters. So if you want to skip to the inside, you can skip across to that and that'll take you into the tour inside the van itself. Now this van has been optioned up with approximately $8,500 worth of extras. So for us, this is fantastic value. A few extras that came on this particular van that you have to option from Jayco themselves include a 300mm drawbar extension. It's got the Suburban instantaneous hot water and external shower upgrade. And with that, you get the twin gas bottles. It's also got 3 water tanks underneath, 2 for fresh water, 1 for grey water. It's also been fitted with a stability control, which is a really good feature for when you're towing, in that it will apply the brakes if it starts to get a little bit of a sway up. Other extras that have been added include the TV and stereo inside. They weren't a necessity for us, but it's a nice little bonus for those luxuries when you're out on the road. And bundled in that package is the Wingard TV aerial up on the roof. And then we've also got a whole pile of other goodies, including a reverse camera, additional batteries, and upgraded battery management system, which we'll show you when we get inside. Outside, this van's been optioned with the drop down table, which is pretty handy. And then we've also got the outside speakers, the power outlet if you ever need to plug something in with a 240 volt and also a 12 volt outlet, and a TV and an outlet as well. So you can, if you wanted to, put the TV out here on the table and enjoy that while you're sitting outside. On the 3 bunk models, in behind here is a fantastic little storage area. The only thing is the hatch is a little bit awkward, but as opposed to the toilet cassette access door that is on the Ensuite models, you can open and close this hatch when the awning is in its closed position. But for us, we'll use this for some of our outside gear. It's actually quite tall inside. It's around about a metre or 1.2 metres. So you can actually fit quite a bit in this hidey hole in the rear of the van as well. The front boot on these models runs east to west. So you've got a full, reasonably weatherproof area down under the main bed. However, the access hatches are quite small. They're only 325mm wide. So if you're looking to put a slide out kitchen or something like that into the front of these vans, it doesn't really work, and you can't fit a barbecue or anything like that in there. There are companies out there, and I'll put a link down here, that make a really nice slide out drawer system for these particular hatches, and I might look to get one of them because it obviously means you can access things in the middle of this boot hatch area that you would normally have to reach in there. So I think it will help keep it a little bit more organized, and then we'll keep our tools and bits and pieces on the other side of this boot area as well. Now, given this is a 2020 model van, this is the last one that has the exposed gas bottles on the outside. From 2021, these move back a little bit and they get a little molded cover that goes over the top of them. Interestingly, and I only just noticed this when we picked this particular van up, this checker plate looking material is actually a padded cover. So that's actually quite good for protecting the front of the van and also absorbing some of the rock impacts. However, if we were going to do some long touring work on gravel roads, we would definitely look at putting a stone guard or a rock stomper or something like that in to stop rocks bouncing off the front of the van and potentially breaking the glass in the back of the four-wheel drive, which is not very good at all. And then obviously you have standard things like the external tap here, the jerry can holder. I want to fit a bike rack onto the front A-frame of this van. When I check measured this at Jayco using a 2021 model, I think it was, there was a fair bit of clearance on here and it would work. I'm just not sure if this in particular encroaches on this style of van. However, that's a job that we'll be doing reasonably soon so we can get out and about. All vans fitted with a shower, be it an internal ensuite or an external shower like what we've got with this particular van, get fitted with hot water, the 2 gas bottles as opposed to 1, and also the 12 volt pump inside that runs from your water tanks. So we've got a Suburban instantaneous hot water system in this particular van. We run the 2 water tanks, and it's also fitted with a 3rd grey water tank as well. So that means if we do any national parks trips where they in particular want the grey water contained within the van, we've got that facility as well. And then down in the rear of the van, we've got our hot and cold outdoor shower. We've got an ensuite tent in the van, so we'll make good use of that when we're doing some off-grid camping. If we're in a caravan park, we're just going to use the amenities there. Now, a neat feature of the 2020 update with the new chassis is that you don't have the spare wheel hanging off the back of the van anymore. In our case, there's this cool little rod holder here. Now, obviously, you're not going to put your rods in there while you're in transit, but while you're camping, that is a great solution for stashing your rods while you're on site. I like that. That's very cool. So obviously our spare wheel is down underneath the van, and then we've got the 3 water tanks in front of that. Standard, these pop tops come with an awning. This one in particular is a Solera 15-foot awning, and it's obviously a lot more sturdy than the Fiamma we run on our Swan. I've also bought an anti-flap kit for it, including the curved rafter, so that will be a DIY install video coming up shortly as well. And I just love all the modern touches that all these new vans have, such as LED light strips in the end of the awning. It just makes life so much easier. You don't have to set so much stuff up, even if you're camping for a few days. Now, the huge bonus for us coming from a camper trailer is that you get a full screen door, which is fantastic. One comment I do make about the Outback models is that on the Caravans you only have this single step that comes down. That's much easier to fold out. However, there's quite a big step to the ground, so we might look to getting a little portable step that will go in front of this. A mod that I've already got, and I'll do a separate video, is that we've already got some carpet covers for these step treads from Adam over at Caravan Mods, and I've got a muck mat to put down below as well. So now let's go inside and check out the internals of the van. So the layout of this van is quite functional and simple. You have the main bed up at the front, you've got a kitchen that wraps up one side, a dinette over here, and then up the back we've got the bunks. So let's start with the bedding first. Those of you who have been around for a while will remember that we bought a Caravan Caravan last year. The layout inside was pretty much exactly the same as this, except it had a club lounge in this front section that converted to a bed. The limiting factor there was that the mattress, once you put that into the club lounge itself, was a king single, so it was way too small. In these Caravans, the east-west bed layout is something that is a compromise. We tested it out down at Jayco and decided that, look, we can get that to work, particularly given we're used to sleeping in the east-west layout in the camper trailers. However, the mattress is a little bit smaller. It's around about a double, so it is a little bit narrow, and to be honest, making this bed isn't the most fun thing in the world either. But when you look at the functionality of this van, its size and its towing weight, it's something that we can compromise with when you look at all the other inclusions that come in this real compact and light format. And for us, it's the inclusion of the bunk beds, so let's go and check them out. Now, one of my favourite parts of this particular van is the fact that the bunks are located up at the rear of the van. So when the boys or your children go to sleep, you can actually close these privacy curtains up and they can sleep down here pretty much undisturbed while you use the rest of the van. As opposed to a Caravan that has the bunks at the forward side of the van and the main bed at the rear. As you're going in and out of the door, you're constantly walking past those bunks and potentially disturbing your children if they're sleeping. So this particular version of the Jayco vans does come in a 17.58-3 model, which has an ensuite in this area over here and just comes with the double bunks. Now, we went down to our local Jayco Newcastle yard and had a look at both of these and all the other Caravans they had there, just to get a feeling for what we wanted in regards to, did we want an ensuite over here, or would the extra storage actually be better? What does it feel inside? A lot of people we spoke to said, don't get a pop top, in 12 months time you'll be looking at a full-size van. But for us, the airiness that you get inside these pop tops really does appeal to us, particularly coming from a camper trailer. That's one thing we absolutely love about the Swan, is all the air and brightness you get inside. So that takes us back to the bunk area. We've opted for the 17.53-1 model that has the triple bunks. You gain all the extra storage in this tall cupboard, and the storage that goes in behind under that cupboard, under the bunk, which you can access from outside. And while the boys for now have decided to sleep on the top bunks, if I was a kid, I'd love this bottom bunk because it's almost like a little cubby house. You've got your own little window here. There's reading lights on all the beds along with a power point. And then down underneath this bed, we have our twin batteries. And then in the corner is the outdoor shower as well. I'm looking to install a diesel heater, and obviously we have under the main bed up the front, but I'm thinking down in this little space here, which is next to the battery unit, might actually be a really good spot. That way we can start pumping out some heat into the rear of the van, and it's not being affected by the door being open quite so much. I guess one potential annoyance of the triple bunk model versus the double bunk is the ladder sits in front of these drawers here. So to access the drawers, you really have to unclick the ladder and move it out of the way. With the double bunk version, the ladder sits here in the walkway, so the ladder in both versions is a little bit problematic. You can also option up a kit that converts this dinette into a bed as well, and while that's probably not so important for the triple bunk models, if you opt to go the Ensuite model, which only has the double bunks, this could provide that additional sleeping area to increase your capacity as well. Anyhow, let's get on to the next bit, which is storage. And for a compact 17-foot van, this layout has a lot of storage. So let's go and check that out. So with the ladder stashed away, you have this bank of drawers that runs down through here that you can store a lot of stuff in. We've got this huge deep cupboard here, which goes down under the bunk. Down behind that is another storage area that you access from outside, which is really, really handy. And then we have the robe unit, which is similar to what you get in most of your caravans. And my first thought was to set this up with shelves like what we've done in our Jayco Swan. However, for now, we're just going to leave this open because we've got a lot of other storage opportunities, and this would be a really good place to hang coats and all that winter gear that you might carry around if you're camping in the colder months. Now, another feature that comes over from the Jayco Swan that we've already got is this awesome buffet that sits at the entry to the caravan. Now, we need to work out what we do with this. A lot of people use this as their pantry. In our Swan, we use that for all the inside-outside stuff. So all our plates and bits and pieces sit in here, so you can use them inside, or we're often eating outside, so you can quickly grab them and pull them out. In the Swan, we have a bank of drawers that sits down here, but in the Journeys, you only have the cupboards. In the later versions, there's just 2 cupboard doors. In this version, there's obviously 3 narrower doors, which does make it a little bit harder to get larger objects out of these cupboards. In our Swan, we did a modification where we joined these 2 doors together and took out the center divider. That might be an option in this caravan, which I'll look into. We'll just get it all set up and see if that's required or not, depending on how we store all our food, utensils, plates and saucers and bits and pieces in this particular caravan. Down behind the bed, you've got these handy little storage units for the parents. In the little hidey hole on the other side, there's a GPO and also some USB outlets, which will be a fantastic little charging hub over in this back corner of the van. And then obviously you've got the TV and everything if it's optioned up. In looking at the full-size vans, obviously you get the option of a 2-shelf space in a lot of these overhead cupboards. But for the advantage of all this extra air and ventilation that you get with a pop top, this is perfectly fine. And these cupboards all around the bed area here, I think we'll struggle to fill, to be honest. The main bed lifts up on gas struts and you've got a ton of storage down under here. A lot of people store their camp chairs and whatnot, but you might put bits and pieces in such as your shade walls and all the sort of stuff that you only access from time to time. That way we don't have to keep lifting this bed up and down because, to be honest, I think that's going to be pretty annoying. And again, there's a nice little zone down in behind the kitchen here where we could potentially locate the diesel heater, because next to that is the instantaneous hot water service as well. And so while the kitchen is still fairly tight, you still have plenty of storage with this bank of drawers that runs down through here. You still have this useless little flap that opens up here, which I probably will convert to a drawer. That's been on one of my to-do lists with the Swan. You have this large cupboard here, which some people also use as a pantry, as opposed to the buffet on the other side. And then obviously we have the stove with the grill and the microwave underneath. There's a real deep storage area that sits down underneath both the microwave and the fridge as well. And you still obviously have the drawers that sit down under the dinette area, so you've got a lot more storage under this setting as well. We've got our sink over here, and then the stove that sits on the opposite side, and that is essentially your working benchtop space. So it's something that we need to just work through, as we've lost a little section that hangs off the end. And even the Coral that we had last year had a little bit more bench space because the fridge sat down under the bench, so you continue the bench through. And that leads us into appliances and electrical. So obviously you have your stove and your microwave, and air conditioning is standard as well. We've also got the 240 volt and 24 volt TV, the Furrion media system, and also this huge fridge. So let's check that out first, and then we'll get on to the electrical. So lucky for us, this van's also been fitted with the upgraded fridge. It's not a compressor fridge, still a 3-way, but it's 153 litres, which gives a heap of space inside and means that for some trips, we won't even need to take the camp fridge. We're just going to load this up with everything that we need. We can pack it away before we leave and just run with this one single fridge. And underneath the lower bunk, with the mattress pulled out and the access panels pulled up, we reveal the heart and the brains to the whole unit. So this van runs two 100 amp hour AGM batteries and 160 watt solar on the roof. And it has also been fitted with the BM Pro and the J35D. The beauty of having the J35D battery management upgrade is that it is compatible with lithium batteries if we ever want to upgrade these down the track, which is something we might certainly look at, and it also helps with weight as well. Now, the other cool thing about these new generation of vans is that you don't have a control panel located somewhere within the van to monitor all your water tanks, your battery levels, your solar input, and all those things. You simply enable the Bluetooth connection, you pair your phone on, and you download the J-Hub app, and you've got all that information at your fingertips. The J-Hub app also adds a lot of functionality in that you can turn on and off all your lighting circuits, and you can also add a whole other range of Bluetooth monitoring devices, such as temperature sensors for the fridge, level gauges for the gas bottles, and your tire pressure monitoring system. So it's all in one location. You can go through and check the health of your caravan while you're out camping without having to worry too much about it. One thing I will say about this van, given its off-grid capacity, is that there's a pile of 240 volt outlets. So all the beds have them. It's down under the dinette here, all over the place. However, there's hardly any 12 volt outlets. The only ones I can find are down in a little nook underneath the TV here, and that's about it. So one thing on the list will be to add some USB or 12 volt outlet, because it's just so easy not to plug this van into anything because of its capacity. One thing we discovered last night is that these overhead lights in these particular vans only have the standard light. In the camper trailers, you can switch these to be a blue light, which we generally just leave one on at night time as a bit of a night light. If someone needs to go to the toilet, or the boys are sleepless or restless, you don't have to go flicking lights on. You can still walk within the van. Unless there's something we're missing, these don't convert back over. However, we did find that the reading light, they do switch onto a blue light. So we sort of just point this off to the side, and you've just got that little bit of ambient light, particularly around the door. So if someone needs to get up through the night, they're not tripping over bits and pieces or having to turn on one of the main lights as well. A nice handy feature with the lighting panel here is this off button. You hit that and that turns all the lights off. So if you've gone to bed and you've left your outside lights on, you can hit that and that'll turn all the van lights off. Even easier, there's a two-way panel over here, so you can do exactly the same from your main bed. You can turn the lights off, and the second button here will turn all the lights on inside. So if your kids are asleep and you do need to turn some lights on, I probably wouldn't be using that because it turns all three lights on and is incredibly bright. But overall, I think this van will work extremely well on our family trips away. It's so quick and easy just to pop up the roof. We can pack the van while it's packed down without having to wind it all back up that we have to do in our Swan. We just have to get used to a few things, such as losing the lounge area that sits down under here in a Swan. Again, you can sit on the bed. The dinette isn't too bad at all. We still retain the buffet down here, which anyone that talks to me regarding the Swan versus an Eagle, I would go the Swan any day of the week because you have this buffet, and the same thing in these journeys. I think it's a really good storage option. The one thing that I do wonder might have been a slightly better idea when this is your only seating area, and it's something that the Caravan had last year, is that it didn't have this buffet sitting here and it had the L-shaped banquette seating with a table that wrapped through. That actually opens up the van quite a lot more, but obviously the compromise there is you lose this mass amount of storage just inside the door. Because what happens is down under that table there, you still have the wheel arch. So whoever's sitting on the two internal sides, which will probably be the kids, they have to put their feet up onto the wheel well, which isn't fantastic, but again, it's just one of the compromises you make in one of these vans. of this size. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's not goodbye, it's just another adventure, an avenue for us to extend our channel, and most importantly for us, get out there and have a little bit of fun and do some more longer term touring. The disadvantage with the Swan is obviously that whole pack down factor. If it's raining, you've got to dry it back out. And if you're quickly trying to get on the road to do a number of trips as you're getting to a destination, or potentially doing a half lap of Australia, you've got the added advantage of just being able to pop the top down, pack a few things away, and you're straight back out on the road. I think it's going to be fantastic. The boys have a little bit of space of their own. They're getting a little bit too big to sleep next to each other on the double pull-out bed, so it lets them sort of have their own personal space. And for us, there's a lot of mod cons that have gone into this van that we certainly don't have with the Swan. So wish us luck. Put a few comments down below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, definitely subscribe. I want to do a lot more walkarounds of caravans and run you through the pros and cons of each, and just run people through all the different options as you progress through your various levels of camping. Anyway, I've got to run. Thanks for watching, and as I always say, get out there, stay safe, and have fun. We'll catch you next time.